We've been telling you about this for the last few months, but it's finally been realized. The Muslim Brotherhood essentially has taken over the government of Egypt. It was the biggest winner in Egypt's elections, and a fanatical group, Salafis, came in second. And of course, Hamas, which was founded by the Brotherhood, says the biggest loser was Israel.
So the question of the day, Pat, is what do these elections mean for Egypt and for Israel and for Egyptian Christians? Mark Martin has a closer look.
Radical Islamists have emerged as the biggest winners in Egypt's historic parliamentary elections. The Muslim Brotherhood's political arm, the Freedom and Justice Party, says it has captured 40% of the seats in parliament. And in a surprise showing, the Salafist Noor Party, a more hardline fundamentalist group that's pushing for the Islamization of Egypt, got nearly 25% of the vote. The group is reportedly hitting the airwaves and mosques across the country, calling for Islamic Sharia to be the basis of all law in Egypt.
The Salafis have, wrapped themselves around the mantle of religion. They have also a lot of money, I hear, in campaigning.
The results have unnerved neighboring Israel, which has always feared that the so-called Arab Spring could lead to Islamist governments taking control in the region. This week, Israel urged Egypt to preserve their 1979 peace treaty.
We hope that any government that will be formed in Egypt will recognize the importance of the existence of the peace contract with Israel as value in itself, and also as a foundation for the economic and security stability of the region.
Meanwhile, in the Gaza Strip, Hamas, a group with close ties to the Brotherhood, is celebrating the election results.
Hamas is celebrating because Hamas is from the Muslim Brotherhood. So if the Muslim Brotherhood gains in Morocco, in Libya, in Tunisia, and now they're gaining in Egypt, that means it's more support for Hamas against the Palestinian Authority among the Palestinian people. And they're expected to have elections next May. So Hamas feels like they're sitting pretty right now.
The prospect of an Islamist victory has Egypt's Christians, who make up about 10% of Egypt's population, terrified that one day strict Islamic law will be imposed. The Christians voted for the secular Egyptian bloc, which could emerge as the second-place winner.
I demand the Muslim brothers who practice Islamic politics put religion aside. Religion is very sacred, politics is a dirty game, and religion is above all.
The win of the Islamists at the ballot box has many Christians wondering whether to stay and fight for equal rights or leave.
There's an increasing number, have fled the country, particularly those who've been threatened by the military. But others, particularly amongst the young people, they believe it's time to stand up for their rights. So they're going to stay and they're going to struggle. And this is a church which has struggled for centuries. It's not new to them.
Since the fall of the Mubarak regime, several churches, Christian homes, and neighborhoods have been attacked. Mark Martin, CBN News.
Well, the Arab Spring has brought forth weeds rather than flowers, but we told you the role of the Brotherhood is not to be nice and promote peace. Their goal is to spread Islam and to reestablish what they call the caliphate. That's what they want. They want Muslim domination over that entire, what we used to call the Fertile Crescent. They wanted it all. And looks like they're getting it because they're the only organized party. So much for democracy. When you have a group of people that have never known democracy and you have one highly organized group, they win. Lee Webb has the rest of our top stories in the CBN newsroom. Lee, what do you have?
Pat, Senator Susan Collins is criticizing the Defense Department for characterizing the Fort Hood attack as workplace violence. Fox News reports that Collins also blasted the administration for failing to identify the threat as radical Islam. The Maine Republicans suggest political correctness is being placed ahead of the security of the U.S. military here at home. Major Nadal Hassan is the suspect in those attacks. He was reportedly inspired by radical American-born cleric Anwar al-Awlaki. Pat.
Well, Awlaki apparently has been killed, for which we're very thankful, but the idea that they would call this some sort of domestic violence or workplace violence is just insanity. And I salute Senator Collins for saying what she said, and we need others of courage to stand up and say the same thing. We cannot allow the military to be overcome by political correctness. We can't allow it to happen. And yet it is. It's seeping into every aspect of our government and every official pronouncement. But this just takes the cake. You say, how can it be? When he was shouting, Allahu Akbar, you know, and began to open fire on people, he was a dedicated Muslim. He was radicalized by Anwar al-Awlaki. And to say this is some kind of a workplace incident is just nonsense. Lee?
Pat, the federal government rejects a request to sell the morning after pill to girls 16 and under over the counter. The Food and Drug Administration has approved the move, but in a surprise decision yesterday, the nation's health secretary overruled the FDA decision. The Obama administration says young teens might not be able to understand the drug's labeling and instructions. And girls under 17 will be required now to get a doctor's permission. Anyone over that age will still be able to buy the Plan B pill without a prescription. The House has passed a bill that would give Congress the final say on major federal regulations, not unelected bureaucrats in federal agencies. The bill would cover proposals with a potential economic impact of more than $100 million. One Republican leader says regulations are hurting the economy and job creation. The Democrat-controlled Senate, though, is not expected to take up that bill, Pat.
You wonder, well, the Congress already has that power. They don't have to vote themselves the power. They've got it already. But these unelected agencies are running wild. The EPA is running wild. They're trying to control the economy without official legislative mandate. And it's we're going to pay the price unless something reins it in.
Senate Republicans have filibustered one of President Obama's nominees to the Federal Appeals Court for the D.C. Circuit. The nominee is former New York Solicitor General Caitlin Joan Halligan. President Obama says he is deeply disappointed by the GOP move, but Senate Republican leader Mitch McConnell described Halligan as an activist. Proposition 8 is back in federal court today. That's the measure passed by California voters that says marriage is between a man and a woman and bans same-sex marriage. Opponents of gay marriage are trying to overturn a judge's ruling against Prop 8. They point out that he did not reveal that he himself is gay and was in a same-sex relationship. Prop 8 is likely headed to the Supreme Court, which ultimately may force the High Court to rule on the issue of same-sex marriage. Well, you can always get the latest from CBN News by going to our website at cbnnews.com.